Happy New Year, everyone. This is the first Cardinals Nest of 2021. I'm Dean Beckman, the faculty athletics representative for St. Mary's. My co-host on the Cardinals Nest is Donny Nadeau, the sports information director. And Donny, we decided for our first show of 2021, we better go right to the top. Our athletic director, Brian Sisson, is joining us. And Donny, kind of the thought process here is we wanted to look back on the tumultuous year of 2020 and hope that things will be a little bit better and kind of give a preview of hopefully what to expect in 2021.
Yeah, what a crazy 2020 it was. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's glad that 2020 is in the rearview mirror, because it was an absolutely crazy year. And Brian, I guess just to start it off, if you could kind of look back to September and how things kind of unfolded for our fall for the 2020-2021 sports seasons.
Sure. First off, obviously, thank you, Dean and Donny. It's great to see you virtually still. And Happy New Year, and hopefully holidays treated all of you well. I know we've been in touch quite a bit through the holidays and up to date. But yeah, I think to your point, the question going back to just the start of, last semester. So walking through August, I think, everything being new and different, I think starting with just moving, I think we were so used to student athletes, your fall sports moving in a little bit earlier, as they're just accustomed to, on kind of a college campus. So I think just, that nothing, really, I think just from a normal sense, from August up through, holidays and stuff, I don't think anything you could say was really quite normal. And so at the same time, I think, university, all those individuals who, helped put the semester together, I think did as best they could. And, we've talked with this and, hey, we didn't always have it perfect. We learned from mistakes and things like that. But yeah, I think, from the start of it, as ebbs and flows and stuff like that, I think, not to get into specifics, but right. I think we knew, hey, going in, there was going to be a chance, hey, there'd be a positive test on campus or, or different things like that and how to react to and stuff like that. So, I think, again, our campus, others across as you're watching and monitoring things, dashboards or whatever it may be is, I think it was kind of online with what a lot of others, experienced. So ebbs and flows and closer to holidays and some different things like that. But, I think just the biggest thing for me was just, people can say, oh, hey, you don't have events. Like, man, you must have all the free time in the world and nothing's going on. I've never been busier in my life. And so still to this day, like one day feels like 8 days. And that's the way it's been since March, So I think, and even more so, we'll get into and just, hey, looking at, sport competition, everything else, but it just changes every day. And so MDH is doing everything they can, NCAA is doing everything they can, our university is doing everything they can. And it's just managing all of that. And I think just, with the semester piece too, with student athletes, just the setup, the protocols, our weight room was kind of, moved around, our athletic training room was moved around, just class and makeup and where you took class was different and just all those different things. I mean, I could go on a lot. I know we don't all have the time in the world, but I think for me, just a lot of that was just different. And I'll say at the same time, I think I was happy as best as possible. I think we tried to maximize and got, good out of this semester. So, hey, would you have liked to maybe do some things differently? Sure. But again, I think we're all learning. Like, there's no expert manual for this, still none. And so, we're all trying to be experts on something we're not. I think that's, the best you can expect.
And so, Brian, I think that's a really good look back at 2020, really both spring and fall, because student athletes had to make sacrifices during both of those semesters during the calendar year of 2020. But now kind of what everybody wants to know is what's coming up now in spring semester of 2021. I know the President's Council through the Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference has been making some decisions. So kind of what everybody wants to know is get us up to date on what we can expect moving into our winter sports season and into the spring sports season as well.
Yeah, sure. And I think, a little bit kind of maybe, hot off the presses, so to speak. But we are excited, St. Mary's, moving forward with competition and the MIAC moving forward. It's been a long effort to get to this point. And I think with all of us, there's still a sense of the unknown with this piece. But basically what we're looking at, for this semester moving forward is that for winter sports, we will have up to basically a 7-game kind of conference season with up to an additional 4 non-conference games that we will look to have for both basketball and hockey, so both men and women. In addition, with part of this, the winter and what everyone put forth and obviously everything agreed upon was that there actually will not be any conference championships. There would still be obviously an opportunity for NCAA, championships and postseason if we'd be, lucky and fortunate enough to be there. But I think kind of first things first is, hey, let's get to starting competition, see what that looks like. With regards to track and field, is it with us? We're just looking at, opportunities that we potentially can do for, kind of maybe more that those smaller, safe meets that we can make work. So I think that's kind of still work in progress for us. But that's kind of, where we stand as far as the winter piece. Student athletes, moving back here shortly, next week and through, that the 25th, that first day of school. And then in just in relation to kind of spring sports, the fall to spring, I wish I kept track. I think I've probably had about 85, 100 AD meetings, since March. Really gotten to know those individuals on a different level in a lot of ways, which has been just fantastic. But with regards to those other seasons, spring's here starting, getting here a couple days before, school starts. And, we want to maximize that season as much as we possibly can, clearly based off what happened last spring. I think for us, we will continue to have those conversations. We'll be on a couple of meetings this week and moving forward. For us, we just want to make that happen as best as possible. I think as you can imagine, kind of dynamics of travel and some things like that, as much as we want, just from a safety piece and other things going on, I think, we're obviously not alone in this. Is just kind of more your, travel to Florida or your kind of, airfare trips and things like that. Unfortunately, just with regards to just safety and where we're at and stuff, it's kind of more transition to more, hey, what can we do more regionally based, and safe and within our conference and stuff like that. So nothing specific yet on kind of spring. I think soon, we're having more discussions and things like that, but we're kind of, carrying on as if, hey, we're kind of going through everything. I'd say maybe other than kind of that, spring break piece. And then as regards to fall to spring, we kind of put, proposed, potential plans in place, looking at more of a kind of late March, early April timeframe. And again, kind of a condensed season. So again, nothing, final concrete, but just kind of those plans to get an idea. Obviously, constant communication with our coaches, in turn our student athletes and those things. And again, I think the big piece of this is just, I think with all of us, hey, we're only one person in what we're doing on this. And obviously getting all this information as Donny can attest to, Dean, you too, get so much information in a day. It's not that like I didn't want to, maybe share something or get something out. It's just I only have 2 hands, 1 computer, and so much time, and part of that stuff. So it's just a matter of kind of managing all that, getting it out, working with the university, working with all the different constituents you have to. And so just knowing, hey, I don't think any changing anytime soon. I think, obviously some light at the end of the tunnel, I think moving forward, but, it's just so day to day. So I think all you can do is make the most of that day and check off, hey, today was a good one, and we'll get to the next one and see what changes. So that's all you can do.
I've got to imagine, Brian, that obviously haven't been able to talk to any of the students about this announcement with us actually being able to move forward. But I've got to imagine that they're just thrilled. And granted, it's not a full season like they're used to. But you know what? If they can get to 11 games starting in January, that's as good as we can possibly hope for. And I've got to imagine, I don't know if you've heard from anybody, but I've got to imagine that, this was great news to them, because I'm sure they've been sitting on pins and needles, just like all of us, wondering what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think the response, obviously, positive. I mean, I think with any of this stuff, there's still a sense of the unknown. Everyone's watching and what's happening currently, in college sports from the highest level on down and things like that. So I think that there's always, still some sense of caution, right. And I think with all this stuff, kudos to, Dan, our league, everyone involved, just, getting to this point. But I mean, safety and all those things in place, I think, are huge. And so obviously we're still evolving with this stuff as things change and stuff. But I think, we're not doing this without trying and putting every possible, opportunity together to make this happen. But we also understand that, hey, there potentially may things that pop up and, may deter us, from a game or two or something like that. But, for us, again, safety at the forefront, trying to make the best experience in a difficult time, for everyone. And I think, that sense of normalcy for student athletes is just, hey, let's get back to what I know, from a coach, from an administrator, Donny, Dean, we've been doing this virtually and I love it. And it's going to continue for some time, but, just kind of what we know, hey, in person at the HBC studios is a little different, than doing it like this. So I know we're all, cherishing those days, but at the same time, I think people just want to, and hey, obviously going through different things they have to do to make this happen. But, for that, it's just, what can I do to get some sense of normalcy back? And as you guys know, as a student athlete, that's such a huge piece of who they are. It's not all who they are, clearly, but it's a big piece.
It's
Once
interesting
again,
that you said that, Frank. My next comment was going to be, we didn't have traditional sports in the fall. Teams got to practice and whatnot. But what I was really impressed with was how many student athletes were on the Dean's List in fall semester. I mean, it's absolutely, it was eye-popping to me how many of our student athletes were among those on the Dean's List. And it kind of shows that, they're here for more than just athletics. And as much of a downer it was that they didn't get to compete in the fall, they certainly kicked it very well in the classroom.
Yeah, Donny, spot on. I think, and I'll give the assist to Dean here in his role, and all of our professors. But just, I think obviously what all the professors across campus, have to do, and everything that's changed for them. But to your point, I think, yeah, fortunate, we have tremendous academically sound, student athletes, again, that student piece first and foremost in everything they do. But I mean, across the board, above the 3.0 and in some of these, highest GPAs they've had for a semester and some other things like that. So, with some of that stuff, it just goes to show, even within all the different, difficulties and challenges, kudos to all of our student athletes and our support staff and our coaches and those people putting them in the right, position, and our professors and just, everyone on campus, to be honest. And so, yeah, I think it's huge, and I don't see that, not continuing moving forward and stuff like that. So, was great to see. And again, I think you could take it a different way, right? And I think kudos to our student athletes who, move forward. And again, they know why they're here, for. And so first and foremost in their career, beyond, here. So, yeah, for sure.
Once again, we're talking with St. Mary's Athletic Director Brian Sisson here on the Cardinals Nest. Brian, a little bit earlier, you had mentioned some of the safety concerns, and of course, safety being the top priority as we enter into competition soon here, hopefully. Maybe walk us through some of the protocols that will be in place, both leading up to competition for our student athletes, but also game day protocols as well.
Yeah. So, I think obviously collaborating with, first off, the MIAC and just kind of, the return to kind of competition, the winter, competition plans. I think, obviously with this, they'll be more specific, when we get closer to kind of, spring and fall to spring and stuff like that. But I think it, maybe at the highest level, for us, just maybe kind of coming back to campus, our student athletes and students, strongly, again, the suggested piece of just, hey, they're quarantining, being safe and obviously making those right decisions, over break. And I think, they know, we know, and having those communications where, hey, I mean, a lot of this obviously is what we can do from support staff and putting them in the right position and keeping them healthy. But at the same time, on them as well, and so they know, we only go as far as all of us together, working together and, making the safety piece work. So, there's that piece. We will have them kind of cleared, coming in with regards to kind of the test piece and dynamic of that. So, when they move in here in shortly in a couple of few days, they'll have been cleared through athletic training staff from, getting the test and everything like that. And then just kind of coming onto campus, really this kind of stems from, the MIAC looking to, following, NCAA, guidelines and obviously, working with MDH and things like that. But it's really on the testing front, and I should, preface this is with a huge kudos to Hy-Vee, locally here in town. We were able to kind of a partnership with, testing, for our student athletes. And so really, again, a huge help to getting us here today. And I know a lot of other institutions within the league, doing the same thing. So I'd go without, obviously have to say that and really appreciative of that. And we'll see how that, obviously plays out here in the next couple of days as we get started. But basically,
Well,
kind of
speaking,
go ahead.
not to cut you off, but speaking
Yeah.
of that wonderful gift from Hy-Vee, I think talk a little bit about the difference, because our athletes now, it's not like you just go and have one test and you're done for I mean, they have to be tested
Yeah.
3 times a week. So
Yep.
what Hy-Vee is doing really is one of the spearheads to allowing us to compete for the winter and the spring seasons.
No, 100%. And as you can imagine, I mean, with all this stuff going on, these universities working around the clock to try to, hey, find out, solutions, to this stuff. So I think getting to this point is key. And again, to your point with the testing, it's going to vary, depending on the sport. And so, as the NCAA kind of lists it, your high impact, middle impact, kind of low impact, sports, and anywhere really for us kind of from a, kind of a 1 to 3 times a week. At that low impact, there may be somewhere more inclined with kind of just what the university, will be doing for students and stuff like that. But to your point, really kind of the week of when competition would start, moving forward, for some of these sports, it's going to be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, test piece. And so there's a lot of collaboration and a lot of things, moving parts to make that happen. And so it's been a lot of work and I'm grateful to have, athletic training staff and team doctor and different things like that. Obviously our coaches, working with the university. And so, one thing I did like, and I'll point out, and again, I think we would do whatever was needed, but the testing will not happen in the wee hours of the morning. It'll be a little bit later around lunchtime. So I think that will help for all involved. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge ordeal. And so thankful to, Hy-Vee, and they'll have staff coming on board, working in conjunction with our staff to put that in place. So we look forward to it and obviously, starting up here next week.
So many obstacles, Brian, that go into really what we're going to have to do now from January to the end of May when we graduate. But one of the things that I personally am just amazed at, and maybe you can expand on, is the work of our training staff. I mean, with Jill and what she's done and her staff, the expectations that are now put on that staff when you've got, not only do you have your winter sports in play, you've got your fall sports in the spring, and you've got your spring sports, and they're a small staff, and what they're doing really is Herculean and really does deserve so many kudos, because what they're doing is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And Donny, thank you. And yeah, I mean, across the board, team effort from everyone within our department at the university, but specifically for them. And I think of Coach Sagar and as well, just the different dynamics they had to work under to, the close proximity and getting the most and maximizing, the student health, of our student athletes. But, for Jill and her staff, I mean, stepping up and helping the university with, some different dynamics across campus and contact tracing, just some other things like that, where again, pulled in different directions, but hey, they are always team players and whatever we can do to have the best student athlete experience. I mean, I think you guys well know what our student athletes think of Jill and Emily and Dana and Nick and our staff and Coach Saker. I mean, I know there's a lot of love for, Dean and Donnie, and maybe to a degree for me from time to time. We'll see. But no, I think just for Jill, huge for what her and her staff are able to do. And obviously what they're, walking into and have helped get to this point. I know there's still always, some uncertainty and things like that. But I think for me, as I've learned, through this time is, even more, how valuable that piece is. And, the constant communication is as best we can and being on the same page. So, Jill's had to, and Matt, have had to navigate their workspace just looking different, not only last semester, but now again, changed for this semester. So they've been fantastic, great, obviously, colleagues, friends to work with. And so I have no doubt, we'll be in a good spot as best we possibly can. And they've been a huge part of it.
One other thing I want to make sure we touch on before we have to close things out, Brian, because I'm sure our non-student athlete students who will be on campus, and of course our parents and family members will also want to know what's the situation with fans being allowed or not allowed in attendance, and if they can't be there, what are some other ways that they can catch the action? And Donnie, you might have to contribute in part of this answer to this question as well.
Yeah, no, good question, Dean. I think just, what came out, and again, kind of my protocols, and I'll just kind of maybe keep with winter to start, is that there will be no fans, for winter sports in this kind of shortened season. Obviously that will be different and we will, sorely miss. Looking forward to when that can pick up again, but we will stream our athletic events, so those individuals can parents, family, friends, anyone who wants to come and are Cardinal faithful to watch us play, obviously across the board. So obviously whether we're home, away, I think for us, I think it's just it's week by week, month by month, day by day as things evolve. I think we'd love to get to a point, obviously once we kind of move outside, kind of get into spring, I'd love to be able to have, and obviously for us, I think, our student body, how big that is, and just kind of from the mental health piece and to connect with others and cheer on their, their teammates and classmates and things like that. So I'm hoping obviously in time, I think obviously that's where we, stand with winter. I know Donnie and his staff will do a great job in just putting us in place where, we can have that, we can watch and Cardinal fans can have their little watch parties wherever it may be, virtually until they can come back on campus. But yeah, I don't know, Donnie, if you wanted to touch on anything else there or.
Well, I think Donnie might have froze up on us, Brian, but
Okay.
we'll keep going here. I know Donnie's Twitter account, the @SMUSID account, is fantastic. He always provides in-game updates and things like that.
Yeah.
And Brian, if there was ever a time for Donnie to freeze up, this was a good time because he's got a smile on his face. If
I was
it
going to
was
say
me,
that's the best. We could just keep it that. Yeah.
I would have had some strange look on my face. And that's how it would have worked out. But
He's
no,
back.
certainly Donnie's SMUSID Twitter's feed. And you're back now, Donnie. We were just talking. You froze up, but you froze up with a smile on your face, so it wasn't too awkward.
You know what? We're talking sports, so I'm a happy camper.
Donnie, we're almost out of time here, but we were just kind of updating everyone on where they can get updates. And, we mentioned the live streaming. Of course, you do live stats, live tweeting during contests as well. And Donnie, you're about to get real busy here come February once competition
real
starts.
fast.
I think Donnie froze up again, Brian. We'll kind of close out the show here momentarily, but Brian, certainly we gave out a lot of necessary thank yous today. Of course, I know SMU administration as well, Father Burns and Tim Gosson have been so supportive of not only you, but really the entire athletic department throughout all of this as well. Maybe talk about their role because, not only are you going through it for the first time, but they're trying to figure everything out as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously just, again, I think I've obviously I think, good perspective, in my role, athletics is obviously, a big piece, of the university, but there's a lot of, big pieces of the university and things like that. So I think just cognizant with some of these things is that, I think as Donnie or Dean, you can attest to, athletics, moves at maybe, a different pace, sometimes and stuff like that. And so with that, within COVID, I think administration has been fantastic, working with us and again, getting us to here today. So, and, Merkowitz and Tim and Father Burns and just, again, the cabinet at large and things like that. So I know I can't, everyone's name, but hopefully they know who they are. But yeah, I mean, I think getting to this point today has just been, huge. So I think, they're doing everything they can. They want to have the best experience possible for our student athletes and athletics. And, again, I think that the one thing too is just, the patience piece. I think we've all learned, that kind of better sense of patience. And just sometimes, I find myself or, our coaches or our student athletes or combination, hey, sometimes we just got to give it another hour or two, give it another day. And so I think we can all be guilty of that sometimes. And obviously you want, hey, answers, updates and things like that. But I mean, as we've even seen within our own state, it's just, you got to have that sense of, and I'm seeing double with Donnie here. So, but no, again, kudos to everybody. I think just, I'd even just say, the Winona and surrounding community, the frontline workers and things like that, I'd be remiss. And I think I've had conversations with Eric over at Winona State, and he's been a great help and just kind of bouncing things off. And again, both of us trying to, provide the best opportunity for our student athletes. So, from the top down, clearly, we're not here today without them and having, all they want is, hey, our student athletes to be back and have the best experience possible. So, yeah.
So Donnie, just a few minutes left here. Any the last thing you'd like to add now that you're back live with us here?
I'm afraid to talk because every time I talk, I freeze up. So Brian.
Oop. That happened again, I think. So, well, we're going to wrap things up here, Brian. I know our time is about done. You've got other meetings to go to. Your busy, hectic schedule continues, but really, thank you very much for joining us and really sharing the good news of what the plans are moving forward and getting back to competition. It'll be nice here on the Cardinals Nest to start interviewing coaches again, student athletes. We're going to keep going with the Cardinals Nest 2.0, where we interview student athlete alumni. So it's really good news. It's little baby steps and things can change, but at least there's a little light at the end of the tunnel now.
Yeah, and Dean, I can't say enough how great, the alumni pieces have been as well. And I look forward to, more coming, and kudos to you and Donnie. I think I've got just a lot of great, rave reviews, and obviously those alumni, texting me and, hey, thanking being a part of it and stuff like that. So has been key. And so the only thing I would just say is just, hey, for our student athletes, coming back, we are thrilled to have you back on campus. A lot of work has gotten into just getting here today and also knowing that, hey, every day, brings new things that are happening. So we're trying to navigate it as best we possibly can. Your safety in mind, I would just say for all of our students, coming back to St. Mary's is just be safe. Hey, obviously making those right decisions. And, we look forward to seeing you here shortly. So it's been a little different in Winona, these last 2 months, obviously extended break and stuff, but, really looking forward to having them back.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Brian Sisson, St. Mary's University Athletic Director, thanks for joining us and good luck as you get ready to start the seasons here.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's going to do it for this Cardinals Nest. For Donny Nadeau, I'm Dean Beckman. Thanks for watching.